Hi, this is George from Upfish, your marketing automation expert, and today we're going to be continuing our Chat GPT entire business automation plan. So in the last video, we were looking at how to do file management, basically. So to look for files in a Google Drive and sync that to our custom GPT file library so that the files that we want to analyze are always there. So the next step is to take that information, basically, and to do an output. So the starting point for this is draw.io. What we're going to do is just map out what we want. So to just explain it in layman's terms, we're going to be taking information from places like Google Analytics. We're going to be taking places like from Google Ads or from our Google Search Console, YouTube, basically anywhere where there's data that we think could give us insights in how to run the business better. And then we put that all into our central library. So we have an Airtable base that has all of the files, and that's also synced to our Chat GPT. And then when that information is in the database, it's going to go into our custom GPTs. And what is the output of this? The output is going to be basically actionable advice. So every week, the aim of this is every week or every 2 weeks or every month, what happens is there's going to be a priority list. So it's going to say, based on your Google Analytics data, you need to redo a landing page. Or based on your ad performance, you need to change your audience parameters. Or based on traffic to your website, you're getting a lot of organic social, so you should create some content based on this. This seems to be performing high. This is basically the first stage to entirely automating it, because before we can trust GPT to actually automatically run ads for us or automatically create content or automatically change our landing page, we want to know that it's working properly. So we're going to map it out first, and we'll have a semi-automated process to begin with. We're basically every morning, my goal is every Monday morning, a Slack message to say, based on everything you have here, here are the 5 things you should concentrate on for this week, only this. And then next week, take that into account, come up with a new plan. So to map something like this, it's going to be very different for everybody. Depending on the company you run and your exact needs, you're going to have different data and a different output. So for example, if you're an e-commerce company, you're going to be focusing mainly on making sure as many people buy your product as possible. Whereas if you're a B2B SaaS company, maybe your end goal is to get as many free trials as possible. And if you're a consulting company, maybe it's to book as many meetings as possible. It's going to be different for everybody, so there's no one-size-fits-all approach I can show you here that would make sense. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my own company, my own efforts, what I do, as a starting point. You can see how the thought process works and how you plan it out. So the initial point is my upside-down triangle of truth. It sounds incredibly stupid, but I might trademark that. George's upside-down triangle of truth. Either way. The idea of this is to visualize your basically the entire process that you want to have automated, so you can see what data points you need to collect, what outputs you want, and what KPIs you need to manage. So once you have this, the starting point is basically the end result. So in my case, the end result would be something like a course sale. I want to maximize sales of my course. And if you haven't signed up for my course yet, there's a link in the bio, please do. It's 100% 5-star review so far. So obviously there's a lot of value for people who want to start learning marketing and sales automations on Make. Also, as part of my business, what I do is freelance projects. So these will be people emailing me to ask for help implementing something or designing a custom workflow. So I want I want course sales, I want freelance projects. These are my endpoints. Although thinking about it now, there is an additional endpoint here. So people who sign up to a course sale, they go on an email drip campaign, email 1, email 2, email 3. Here's some other products I do. Here's some other services. Are you interested? Say there's an upsell. I'll make this very clear. Upsell from email drip campaigns. Okay. So obviously there's a CRM element here. So everybody who goes into course sales, who goes into freelance projects, they go into a CRM. Okay. Again, this visualization is built for me. It might not make sense to you, but obviously when you create this for yourself, you'll do it to your own standards. But basically, endpoint, course sale, freelance projects, both of that information goes into a CRM. And the people on the course sale, there's maybe an email drip campaign. In terms of the course sales and freelance projects, how do they get to the stage before that? For course sales, they're going to go onto my Gumroad page. Freelance projects, they will either send me an email directly or maybe a LinkedIn message. So email LinkedIn, but they might also just book a meeting directly through my Tide account. So meeting booked, okay? Before website, email, LinkedIn, how do they find out about me? Well, I do pretty much 90% of my traffic through YouTube. So that's an easy one for me. And then to support the YouTube, I also put out social media, okay? And that's basically all I do actually, but just for the sake of filling it out, let's just imagine I also do ads. Let's imagine I do SEO content. Let's imagine that also I have some sort of, let's say a newsletter perhaps for subscribers, which would be probably linked to what is in the CRM. So I'll just make a little note here. Okay, so this is really, really rough. Obviously, if you do my course, I'll show you how to build this out in more detail, but it lets me know straight away, all right, I need to have a way of gathering all of my social media data. So which posts probably get the most likes or the most impressions, the ads, I'm gonna wanna know again, who does the most impressions. If it's connected to my Google Analytics, I wanna see which of these ads results in the most conversions. SEO likewise, what ranks high, what gets a lot of clicks. YouTube, which of my videos get the most views, which ends up in the most clicks to the website. Website, through Google Analytics, I can get a lot of traffic in terms of the channel source, so whether it's organic, direct, paid, activity on the website, most pages viewed, events, like people who begin a checkout, people who complete a checkout, people who watch a video. Email, I'm probably going to be wanting to check my inbox to see the sentiment of people who actually send me emails. What are they mostly asking for? This kind of stuff. Meetings booked, I want to be tracking how many new meetings I pick. Freelance projects, what is the average cost of these projects? How much do I usually charge? Course sales, probably I just want to know the sum total, the sum revenue. In the CRM, it's probably good for me to know the makeup of the people in the CRM. Are there any trends in terms of verticals or industries or job titles, or the types of projects people want me to do? And for email drip campaigns, I probably want to measure open rates, click-through rates, forward rates, people who then click through those emails and actually buy something else. So you can see here already I have an idea of what information I want to collect and what KPIs need to be tracked. So the next stage is to figure out what custom GPT I want to handle this. Luckily for me, since my business is quite simple, I can easily see here, I can branch this, I can group this all into two things. One of them is going to be my chief marketing officer, and one of them is going to be my chief sales officer. Okay, so I'm going to create two Chat GPTs. One of them will be a chief sales officer, and I'll tell it basically to try and improve freelance project performance for me, and the CMO I'll tell to try and improve course sale performance for me, plus additional upsell products. So the files that I need to send to the CMO, the CEO, I can start to make a list of these now. So for the CMO, for email drip campaigns, I want to get probably the campaign settings, campaign performance, not campaign performance actually. So just as a little aside, a lot of email tools like MailChimp or Email Octopus, basically any of them, you have two things. You have campaigns, which are sort of static things. You'll say, everybody on this subscribe, I want to receive this email today. That's a campaign. And automation would be every time someone buys a product or they get added to a list, start this cadence of emails. And now people like MailChimp, they don't actually give you API reports for automations, just campaigns. So I managed to find a provider called MailerLite, who I've never used before, but for this video, we'll try them out. So what I want to find is the automation performance. So click-through rates, open rates, all of this stuff. For course sales, this is tied to my Gumroad. So I wanted to analyze my Gumroad sales, see if there's anything interesting there. For the website, just Google Analytics is fine. And then I'll drop into the Google Analytics to show what metrics I want to measure. For email and LinkedIn, this will be the chief sales officer job. So I want it to look through my inbox, maybe in a certain folder, to tell me these are the 3 people you should definitely follow up with this week. Or again, the future plan would be to have it do it automatically, but for now I just want it to send me a message, a resume of basically, here are some opportunities, here I've enriched them, this is what I think they're interested in, this is how I think you should structure a meeting, this kind of stuff. Meetings booked, so I want to measure my tidy count as well. Okay, for YouTube, that will be part of the chief marketing officer, so I want to get my YouTube stats in there. Social media stats, so let's just restrict this to LinkedIn for the time being, because otherwise this video will turn into many hours of work, and no one wants to watch many hours of me talking, unfortunately. I've tried. So in addition to the social media, so ads, so that will probably be Google ads, depending on where I do it, could be LinkedIn, whatever, but I'll use Google ads for the example here. Same goes for SEO, so I'll probably put in Google Search Console. And then for a newsletter, again, I don't have one, but we'll be part of the same thing. So we'll just put in a MailerLite here. Okay. So what we have now is a physical representation of the average customer journey. So on the marketing sales side, at least, this is what I want to automate. These are the GPTs I'm going to need to create. This is the data I'm going to need to start collecting. And then in terms of the output, as we see here, what I want is a priority list. So basically, in terms of how I'm going to make these GPTs, what I'm going to ask it to do basically is something similar to you are a CMO or maybe a CSO, description of my company. So this is what I do. I need you to review the file and give me at least one task to improve my, and what was my goal, course sales or whatever. Okay, to improve my course sales. Okay, so again, when it comes to prompting, as I always say in all of these videos, really take your time to build something robust. For the purpose of these videos, I don't bother, I just want to get it done. So I'm going to create these assistants now. And then once the assistants are done, we'll show you what happens next. So the next stage is to come into the OpenAI platform. We'll come to assistants, we'll create an assistant. So in this case, I'm going to start off with the Chief Marketing Officer. So I'll just call this Chief Marketing Officer. And the instructions, I will copy and paste from here. And it's basically this. You are a Chief Marketing Officer. You help me to sell my courses that teach people how to use make.com to automate their sales and marketing functions. So you're a CMO, you help me to sell my courses to teach marketing functions. You help me by providing actionable tasks based on the data available in the files provided. Okay, great. Not a very good one. Model GPT Turbo. This will be fine. Or mark retrieval as possible. Files. We're not adding files yet. This is how we do it. So we've created the thingy, and now we need to take the code for the assistant, and we come into our Airtable base. Okay, so here is the Airtable we created in the last video, where we have the list of the assistants, the files that attach to them, processes as well, which we'll come to later. But essentially, okay, I need to add in my my assistant. So I'll copy and paste the ID from the assistant that we collected from OpenAI. The name of this one is CMO. There's no files attached to it currently, so there's no links to be found. There's no current task, there's no previous task, so we need to start adding that now. So the next stage now is to start actually adding in these files to our Google Drive and to our assistant, so that my assistant, my CMO, can start using them. Now, if you've seen a few of my videos already, it's pretty obvious how I would normally approach this. I'd make an API call. So for example, if it was Google Analytics, I would come in here, come to Google Analytics, I would generate a report or make an API call, and then I'll just go through the processes to take all of this information, add it to a Google Sheet, turn it into a CSV, upload it to Google Drive. Because it's something I've already showed you before, there's nothing to be learned. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you a much easier way of doing it. It's an easier way of doing it. It's not necessarily a better way, but just because it gives you an opportunity to learn something different, we'll just come straight into Google Analytics. So we have here some Google Analytics data. And what we can do here, basically we can create a report in our report section that has everything that we might possibly need. Okay, so we're coming to reports. We've got all the information about users, conversions, countries, all of this stuff. And then so instead of me having to make an API call, I can just I can come here to share this report, schedule an email. And what I can do is I can send a report. So I'll call this a Google Analytic report. This is the description. Here is your Google Analytics report. And then basically what I do is I'll send this to a dedicated email address I have set up, george@upfish.com. And every week, let's say every Monday morning on a weekly basis, I want it to be a CSV what I'll do is I'll just say every Monday morning, I want you to send this CSV to me. So again, I can just make the API call every Monday morning, but because I don't want to create the complex report I have in an API call, I'll just send an email instead. So then what happens is every week we get an email. So what we need is a module that will search these emails and put in that information. So we'll set up a new module. We'll set the Gmail one and we'll watch emails. Okay, we connect it to the right account. The folder is going to be coming into the inbox. And the filter with query will be subject equals, I already forgot what I called the report now. I think it was called Google Analytics Report. Yeah, that sounds right. It's Google Analytics Report. Okay, so what this will do is it will search for folders with that particular email address. Okay, so if I run this module once, we see it is picked up. Yeah, okay, so it's found the email. It's found the email, okay? And as we can, oops, daisy. And as we can see here as well, there's, in terms of the attachments, we have a CSV file, which is perfect. That's all I want. So the next stage now is to search Google Drive for this particular information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a Google Drive. I'm going to search for files or folders. I'm going to choose an account. It's this one. No, it's this one. Okay. My folder is the Custom GPTs folder. I am retrieving files. I am making a full text search. And the query is the name of the file. So I come down to attachments, I add it in, file name, press OK. All right, so if I choose where to start, all emails, I run this once again. You'll see it doesn't exist. Brilliant. Okay, that's what we expected to happen. There's no more. But I'm just going to add an error handler here just in case, because sometimes when it returns with 0 bundles, there's always a chance that something might go wrong. So in this case, that file doesn't exist. That's expected. So what we want to do now is to upload a new file. Sorry, imagine it did exist. We want to delete that particular file. So what we'll do is we'll match the file ID to something that's not found here. We'll press OK. We'll add an error handler here. So this is a new error handler, and this one is resume. So what's going to happen here is it's going to delete a file or folder. In this case, there is no file or folder, so this module will fail. Nothing can happen. What this does is then it comes to an error. It will say resume. Don't worry about it. Just continue on. So now after this, what we want is an iterator. And we are going to do an iterator of the attachments. And then we will upload it to Google Drive. So we're going to upload a file. Folder ID, we will select from a list. So I'll select my Custom GPT folder. And I'm mapping it to the flow control iterator. Now I can go to advanced settings. I can press map here. I can change the file name to something else. I can change it to Google Analytics reports. But the problem with that will be that the next I get it, it's still going to have this weird name, data export. So I'm just going to keep it like this. All right. So I'm going to run this email. I'm going to run the module in total once. We'll see it's found the email that has the YouTube report. It's searched for folders. Nothing exists there yet, of course. So there's nothing to delete. So it comes to the resume function. Then we iterate the attachment, the reports, and it gets uploaded to my Google Drive. So now in my Google Drive, in the Custom GPTs folder, I have my CSV. And if I run this again, and if I run this again, what will happen now is it will find a folder and it will delete it. And then it will upload a new one. So like this, every week, it will replace this Google Analytics report with the new version. And the advantage for this for me is that I don't have, over a year, 52 versions of the same file. And that means my assistant doesn't have to go through 52 versions of a file to try and find out the right one. It's just the same one there every time. So now it's in Google Drive. We come back to our GPT file management, which should be running every now and then. What we want here, this is the one that's searching for files in a folder. It's looking for new ones, downloads them, adds it to Airtable, and then uploads it to Chat GPT if it doesn't exist. If it does exist, it deletes the old one, replaces it with a new. So if I run this once, it's found the new folder that we just uploaded. And because it doesn't exist yet, it's uploaded it to Chat GPT. So if I come to the assistant back in the OpenAI, I come to files, I can see the report is uploaded. I got report.csv. If I come back into my file uploader, I run this again. Oops, yes, because it hasn't been modified. So I'll choose where to start. I'll select all, press OK. I run this again. This time it will go on the bottom branch, as we discovered in the last time. So it's deleted the old file, uploaded a new one. I come back to the files. It's 10, and I press refresh. And we see here the time has changed. So now this is a new report from 10:37. There's a new file ID. I come into my Airtable. I press refresh. I have it modified as just now. I have a new file ID, WQ, so it all matches up with the last two. And we also have it connected to our assistant. So I just add in CMO. Assistants here, we now know the assistant for CMO is also taking in the report.csv. So now, if I run the assistant and I ask it to look at this CSV, although if I come to assistants here and I click on it and I press test, you'll see here there's no files in use, but the file is within my file library. So I just need to reference the file ID number. And based on that, I will be able to get the information I want. So what I'm going to do is create a new scenario. To make sure this works, and we'll choose Airtable as the starting point because this is where all the information is. I'm just going to search for records. So maybe I'll run this once a week, for example. I go to Airtable connection. The base will be, what's it called? It was called Custom GPTs. Yes, it was. Great. And this will look for my files. So every week it will just go look for files, look for the files that are there, and then it will go to OpenAI, and it will go to create a complete, no, it won't, it will go to message an assistant. Yep. And now the message will be, here is a report, and then I'll put in the name of it and the ID. Here is a report. Please give me at least one task to complete this week to improve, what would it be in analytics? It would be purchase conversion, to improve purchases based on this info. Okay, the assistant, I'll map it to the ID from assistants. So in our Airtable, just to quickly show you, oops, in my Airtable here, in the files, I have the ID of the file, but it's also linked to my assistants. So I have the ID from assistants here. So that's what that is linking to. Oop, where is my integration? Here it is. So the ID from assistants, show advanced settings. If I want, I could map a file ID here. So I can add an item. I can map this, and I'll say it is the file ID. So this is the ID from Airtable. This is the file ID. I should probably rename one of these IDs. I'll rename this later to OpenAI ID, but yeah. So this ID here is the file. I press OK. So if this works, I'll run it once. And what it should do, it should find that one file I have already in Airtable, which is connected to my CMO Chat GPT. It will take that file, add it to my GPT, ask it, here is some data. Please give me at least one task to do for the week ahead to try and improve the KPIs that we decided to look at in the draw.io diagram, and it will return me a result. Okay, so now that it's finished running, I'll come to content. I'll come to text, value. All right, based on the data from the report, here is an actionable task. Increase user engagement and conversion through targeted content and marketing boosts. Leverage high conversion channels, so organic value. Okay, it's actually given me a few tasks to do, which is good. It's always nice to have extra info, but I just wanted one. But that tells me I need to come back into my report here, the message, and just update it. So normally what I do here is ask it for one task and give clear instructions on how to proceed, for example. Okay, but either way, I have a task. So now that I've got the information, what I can do is take that task and add it into Airtable. So what I'm going to do is come to my my Airtable. What I'll do here is ignore this. This is a test from earlier. I'll just delete this. Doesn't matter. I'm going to add in a field here, which is task for the week. I'll make it a long text. I'll create the field. come back to my scenario, and what I do now is I go to Airtable. What I do is update a record. Base is Custom GPTs. Table is files. Record ID is record ID. And the task for the week is content, text, value. Okay, so now, so here now we've updated the task. If I come back into my Airtable, I have the task for the week based on the data provided. Okay, so now what I can do what we can do is we can actually update this prompt to say, here is the task from last week. I'll put this in here. I'll put this in quotation marks. I don't know why, just like quotation marks. Please, it's task from the week. Please give me at least one task to do this week. Okay, press OK. I'll run it again. So it's going to basically do the same thing we were asking for before, but this time it's going to ask for the task from the week. So based on this data, here we go. I'll come back to my integration. So hopefully now what it will do is it will take into account. It might ask me to do the same thing again if I didn't see results quick enough, but I'm hoping it will give me something new. If you specifically want something new, just change the prompt. Again, as I keep on mentioning, prompt engineering. I hate saying that word, prompt engineering, but still it is a part of this. So we've searched for the records, meshes the assistant, update the records. It should all work after this. The next stage is to send it to Slack and then just do a very, very simple error adjustment. So now if we look at the content, the text, the value, and now it's saying based on information provided and from the previous task. So now I've got some new objectives, things to do. Again, it's a bit too much for me. Don't really care though. This is just to show you how the process is built rather than how to do it properly. If you want it properly, it's on my course. I should point that out. I'll explain a little bit more about that later, but the last stage of this is just a little Slack message. So I'm going to do select from a list, public channel to general with the text of as a CMO, task for the week. Great, done. It will send it into my Slack now. So I've got a message every week. I can check it up. It's in my Airtable. So what needs to be done now? I just need to rename this as a task GPT manager. Oh, I hate my keyboard. Save it. Okay, so we have the basics. We can have a management system for the GPT files. We have a system to get information into that library, and we have a system to use that library to create tasks. So what is left to do? We need to create individual automations for each data source we want. So again, we can do API. We can do email scheduling. Another thing you might want to keep in mind, I'll just show you this very quickly, is you can come to Looker Studio. Using Looker Studio, you can create your own little reports here. So again, this is a great example. So YouTube API is not available in Make, and it's very difficult for beginners to use the actual YouTube API in terms of getting it set up and extracting reports. But Google Looker Studio is directly connected to your YouTube. So you can just simply create a report based on your YouTube here. Okay. Once you've finished building it how you want, you just basically, through the same process as the Google Analytics we discussed before, schedule delivery, okay, send it to your email address, and then set up another system that scans emails for your YouTube report. So essentially, to come back here, you just need to set up a system for basically to manage all of these. Okay, so you set up a system to automate the delivery of the reports for everything you're looking for here. You add them in to your assistant files through the automation. Once they're here, the only thing you need to do is to just pop in to connect it to an assistant. And once that's set up, it will just run indefinitely, giving you advice every week. So things you might want to change. I have individual reports for analytics, for YouTube, for LinkedIn, for TidyCal. You might want to find a way to compile those into one. If you're not interested in having like 5, 6, 7 different item reviews, it's one. Maybe use Looker to compile it all into one giant PDF and ask your assistant to go through that. The other step, obviously, as I keep on saying, is to just play with the prompt a little bit so you don't get as many ideas as I do. But it's a really, really good starting point. So essentially where this leaves us is all of your data going to your assistant. Your assistant is telling you focus on this for the week. So do that for a month. And then the next stage that we'll be looking at in the next video is how to actually turn these suggestions into automations in themselves. So rather than so in this case here, what is one of the tasks? Develop personalized content. I don't want to do that. Set up an email campaign. Is there a way of doing that automatically? And there is. So what else is there to love you with? Make sure you check out my course. So these modules, I'll be uploading these before the end of the week. So you'll have all of these available to just download. I'll show you how to build them in more depth. I'll show you how to get, so we only looked at Google Analytics, but I'll show you how to get things like your email performance, Google Search Console, Google Ads, LinkedIn, YouTube, TidyCal, Inbox. And I'll show you how to build the delivery system. So once I have the totally automated version of this, it'll be on my course before it's on YouTube. All right, I really hope you enjoyed this video. It was a pain to make, but again, love my fans. Like and subscribe. Thank you.